Dark Psychology 1001 Secret Mind Manipulation Techniques You Should Never Have Learned. Author Vahid Zekavati. Copyright VMZ Production. Introduction. The Power Game in Your Mind. Have you ever felt like you were under control, yet couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from? Has that relationship, which was supposed to be your sanctuary, turned into a cold cage? I've been down that road too. This book is an alarm bell, a light shone into the most hidden corners of the shadow. We aren't here to discuss boring academic theories. The goal is this: how are they trying to control you, and how can you cut those strings? Do you realize how simple daily conversations become tools to drain your energy and willpower? If you're ready to see a truth that was never meant to be revealed, open your eyes. We are about to delve into the minds of those whose sole purpose is to use you. Do you know why you feel like your memory is betraying you? Or why you're always overcome with guilt? The answers to all these questions are hidden in the darkness of psychology.
Part 1. Why no one tells you what gaslighting is. The tragedy is this: they force you to doubt your own sanity, and that single act is the worst kind of psychological torture imaginable. If you are consistently questioning your memory, if you feel your grip on reality is slipping, or if you believe your own understanding of events must be wrong, you need to stop and breathe. This feeling is not a personal failing. It is not an illness. It is a precise, calculated psychological assault designed to dismantle your very sense of self. Gaslighting, a term derived from an old play, is the foundational building block for nearly all sophisticated manipulation techniques used by the predators among us. It's a cruel game where the abuser, through relentless denial, blatant lies, and the subtle twisting of facts, pushes you closer and closer to the dangerous precipice of emotional and mental breakdown. They specialize in planting the seed of self-doubt, leading you to constantly ask yourself, "Am I going crazy? Am I too sensitive?" This moment of internal confusion is their victory. It is precisely where they successfully seize total, uninterrupted control over your life and your perception of the world. When someone in your life, a partner, a boss, or a family member, repeats phrases like, "That never actually happened, you imagined it," or "You are just so overly dramatic and sensitive," they are actively working to destabilize your mind. They are hammering the final, heavy nail into the coffin of your mental well-being. The most profoundly dangerous moment in the entire gaslighting process is not the initial lie, but the moment you, the victim, finally surrender your own inner truth and adopt their fabricated toxic narrative, simply because you crave the temporary illusion of peace. This technique is rampant not only in emotional relationships, but also in professional settings, corporate environments, and even subtly in the media to control public opinion. You must understand this. From this day forward, you must never, under any circumstance, allow anyone to define the reality of your experiences for you. Your personal truth is your armor. Do you grasp the depth of this? 2 sentences spoken with absolute conviction can successfully dismantle your entire existing mental reality, making it impossible for you to trust the very evidence presented by your own eyes and ears. This is a war being fought not for your body or money, but for your soul and your mind's integrity. We must urgently learn how to preserve and amplify our inner voice against this relentless psychological storm of lies. If you lose the ability to trust your own reality, you have lost everything worth fighting for. The power of gaslighting lies in its subtlety. It makes you doubt yourself before you can ever doubt the manipulator. This tactic is so effective because it is a direct attack on your confidence. The only way out is to anchor yourself firmly in your own memory, to trust the evidence of your senses, and to refuse to accept the manipulator's version of events. Now that you're aware this silent war is claiming your deepest truth, you must prepare for the next stage of the attack, where the enemy uses overwhelming yet manufactured affection to bypass your critical defenses and lure you in.
Part 2. Love bombing. How you become a victim of intense affection. Make no mistake, that initial fiery love you experienced was not a miracle of connection, but a carefully constructed emotional trap meticulously woven from your deepest longings and vulnerabilities. The precise moment you feel that someone finally perfectly understood you and is worshiping your very existence is not a peak, but the absolute starting point of your rapid, controlled descent. Love bombing is the quintessential golden hook, a manipulative device that the abuser intentionally and swiftly casts directly into your most receptive subconscious mind. Over the course of a mere few days, or perhaps a handful of weeks, they aggressively and systematically inject you with an overload of intense, hyper-focused affection, suffocatingly excessive attention, grossly extravagant gifts, and deeply romanticized promises about the future. The sheer volume of this attention acts as a powerful emotional narcotic, submerging you completely in a chemically addictive state of euphoria and reliance. Their central goal is never genuine connection or enduring love. Their only objective is to create instant, powerful, and overwhelming dependency. The kind of addiction that ensures when they eventually, inevitably, and suddenly withdraw this fountain of affection, the agony of the withdrawal will bring you helplessly to your knees. They have expertly identified your deepest, most neglected emotional needs and instantly morph into the precise idealized partner you have always desperately wished for. They become the mirror reflecting your perfection. This facade of ultimate perfection, however, is always temporary. It drops suddenly, without any logical reason or warning, leaving you abruptly abandoned within a terrifying psychological void. The manipulator instantly transforms into a cold, highly critical, or completely dismissive individual. This devastating shock forces you to desperately try to regain that initial exhilarating fake love at any cost, and it is at this crucial juncture that you become utterly and completely controlled. They are expert drug dealers. They successfully get you addicted, and then they assume total control over the dosage and the supply. How do we accurately distinguish between the raw, enduring reality of genuine love and this destructive theatrical performance? We must urgently learn to recognize the slow, deliberate, and respectful rhythm of a truly healthy relationship, and question why anyone would declare undying devotion or propose marriage within a shocking 10 days of meeting you. Such speed is a red flag, not romance. The manipulator is using the intense neurochemical rush of this early stage to short-circuit your critical thinking. They make you believe this intensity is rare, unique, and worth fighting for. Your desperation to return to that emotional high is what fuels their power. The cycle guarantees that you will constantly be striving, constantly performing, just to receive a small, fleeting moment of that initial warmth.
Recognize that the most important thing you can do is to slow down, to step back, and to evaluate their actions, not their overwhelming words. Now that you understand the intoxicating yet dangerous nature of immediate, intense affection, you must prepare to confront the harsh reality of how they use your kind heart and genuine feelings against you.
Part 3. Emotional blackmail. What to do against threats and guilt. Let's face this harsh truth. If you have ever felt forced to act fundamentally against your inner will just to preserve a surface-level peace, that state is not peace at all. It is psychological surrender, and the correct, painful name for it is emotional blackmail. This specific and toxic technique rides entirely on the volatile waves of your deepest-seated fears, your sense of unshakable commitment, and the burden of guilt. The abuser systematically exploits your points of attachment, your weaknesses, and the sincere love you feel, using phrases that cut directly to the core of your being, saying things like, "If your love for me was real, you would certainly do this one thing for me," or even more damagingly, "If you dare to leave me, I will certainly hurt myself, and it will be your fault." These statements are not spontaneous outbursts. They are calculated psychological time bombs planted with precision inside your emotional core. You are instantly placed into a paralyzing shadow position. Either you comply with their escalating demands and live with deeply suppressed, festering rage, or you bravely say no and immediately find yourself drowning in an all-consuming sea of guilt and manufactured obligation. They are the ultimate masters of maneuvering themselves into a constant victim role, compelling you through emotional leverage to make massive sacrifices to save or care for them, even when their distress is self-inflicted or completely fabricated. Understand this clearly. The emotional blackmailer intentionally weaponizes your genuine, deep-seated love and attachment as the primary tool to force you into utter compliance. They possess zero respect for your personal defined boundaries, viewing them only as obstacles to be overcome. Every instance where you attempt to assert yourself by saying no is swiftly escalated into a life-or-death crisis, ultimately forcing you, the defender of your own boundaries, to apologize for daring to protect yourself in the first place. This destructive cycle is designed to erode your confidence in your right to self-preservation. How then can a person successfully break free from this relentless, punishing cycle? The undeniable answer lies in cultivating ironclad assertiveness and immediately defining a set of non-negotiable, sacred boundaries. We must all learn with absolute certainty that we are not, under any circumstances, responsible for managing the emotional stability of others, especially when those individuals flat-out refuse to take basic accountability for their own choices and behaviors. You must reclaim your emotional sovereignty. By understanding the cold, calculating nature of this emotional extortion, you empower yourself to stop reacting out of fear and start responding from a place of strength. The pain you feel is the result of external pressure, not internal moral failure. Now that you've grasped the devastating power of emotional leverage, you need to turn your attention to the cold, rational mind of the strategist who views everyone as a disposable pawn in their grand game.
Part 4. Machiavellianism, ruthlessness, deception, and the ends justify the means. It is a truly shocking and unsettling realization to grasp that the very individuals who present the biggest, most charming smiles in your daily life are in reality meticulously planning the exact steps required to step over you, use you, and abandon you once you are no longer useful.
Machiavellianism is not just a personality trait. It is the fundamental, calculating structural framework for a life built on unemotional, utterly ruthless, and purely self-serving behavior. These individuals operate under the chilling and absolute conviction that their final, desired goal, whether that is immense power, financial wealth, or a specific social position, is so inherently and profoundly important that any method, any tactic, including the most blatant deception, cold-blooded lying, and acts of outright betrayal, is completely justified in the pursuit of that goal. They are completely void of genuine guilt or even the smallest flicker of remorse, and they perceive every other person on earth merely as a functional, utilitarian tool to be leveraged, exploited, and discarded once their personal objectives have been achieved. In the highly competitive corporate environment, the Machiavellian individual employs strategies of precisely calculated flattery and sycophancy towards those in positions of power, while simultaneously engaging in covert, hidden demolition and sabotage directed at their peers and subordinates. These are the smooth, smiling people who will, in utter secrecy, steal your original data, deliberately misrepresent your progress, or blatantly claim credit for all your hard-won professional achievements as their own. Yet their methods are so elusive and clever that you are left utterly unable to definitively point an accusatory finger at them. They are world-class experts in deep-seated, prolonged secrecy. Their detection is exceedingly difficult because on the surface, they often project an image that is highly charismatic, exceptionally intelligent, and undeniably attractive. However, beneath this polished, deceptive veneer lurks a cold, calculating mind dedicated solely and relentlessly to the maximization of its own self-interest and power. Understand this chilling fact. These individuals are fundamentally never your true friends. They are merely temporary, transactional conduits to their next phase of success. They will drop you the moment a more useful resource becomes available. Do you want to discover how, with one simple, precisely worded question, you can force them to momentarily slip up and unintentionally reveal their deeply cynical, true nature during an otherwise casual conversation? The key is to probe their motivations without directly accusing them. Now that you have fully grasped the cold, strategic principles of calculated deception, it is absolutely essential to turn your focus towards the most fundamentally dark and emotionally devoid of all personality traits, psychopathy, and the danger of the empty shell. Part 5. Psychopathy. Why are some people lacking any conscience? If your imagination has confined these dangerous individuals to the fictional realms of horror movies and dramatic thrillers, you are dangerously mistaken. The frightening truth is that they are sitting right next to you in the office, and when they inflict damage, they never ever flinch. This specific chapter marks your entry into the profoundly disturbing territory of subclinical or non-criminal psychopathy. Individuals who expertly blend into society while possessing a core emotional deficit. These people are not merely incapable of sensing empathy, they fundamentally lack the deep-seated psychological capacity to genuinely comprehend, register, or be affected by the pain, sorrow, or suffering of any other human being. The complete absolute absence of a functioning conscience grants them the frightening freedom to lie with chilling composure, to intentionally inflict harm, and to remain utterly indifferent to the devastating consequences of their actions. They operate in the world much like specialized, focused predators. They are calm, they are superficially charming, and they move with singular, predatory purpose toward their selected victims. Due to the fundamental shallowness and fleeting nature of their emotions, psychopaths can paradoxically achieve significant success in highly competitive environments that demand extremely difficult, emotionally detached decisions, such as certain cutthroat fields in business, high-stakes finance, or specialized surgery. But when it comes to any form of personal relationship, they are nothing short of a total systemic destroyer. They operate through the constant use of pathological lying, a deeply ingrained pattern of deception where the lie itself is often more satisfying than the truth. They systematically convert your stable, predictable life into an emotionally draining and utterly confusing game of chess, where you are always several moves behind. Here is the most devastating and shocking truth. They are fully aware that they are deliberately deceiving you, and often they derive a profound sense of enjoyment and mastery from that very act of deception. They view vulnerability as a weakness to be exploited. You must accept this reality. You can never successfully engage in a reasonable conversation or negotiation with a psychopath, because what you logically define as mutual benefit, compromise, or basic human logic, they automatically categorize as merely a pathetic display of emotional weakness to be taken advantage of. How then can the average person successfully detect this fundamental emotional vacuum that exists where a soul should be? We must diligently learn to spot the patterns. Someone who universally refuses to acknowledge their own mistakes, who perpetually shifts the blame entirely onto others, and who exhibits zero remorse for repeated offenses, is signaling a profound and dangerous psychological red flag. Now that you understand the three toxic pillars, Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy, you must immediately learn the covert strategies they deploy to apply immense pressure on you using fundamental human psychology.
Part 6. Forbidden Influence Principles, the Trap of Scarcity and False Authority. Do you genuinely believe that every choice you make is a product of your free will? You are sadly mistaken. A large majority of your daily decisions are silently and efficiently controlled by one deceptively simple phrase: offer valid today only. The most insidious dark techniques are those that are cleverly hidden in plain sight, disguised within the generally accepted boundaries of social and persuasive influence. The principles of scarcity and urgency are two of the most potent weapons in the manipulator's arsenal. By meticulously engineering the powerful illusion that time is severely limited or that this specific opportunity will absolutely never happen again, they effectively bypass and instantly switch off the logical, reasoning centers of your brain, simultaneously activating the primitive, emotional, and highly reactive part of your psyche. This is the exact psychological mechanism that compels you to make a thoughtless, high-cost purchase impulsively, or to hastily agree to a major commitment simply because you are terrified of missing out on a perceived fleeting advantage. The principle of false authority is a second highly effective mental snare. Manipulators utilize it by prominently displaying fabricated credentials, using inflated or misleading professional titles, or even intentionally wearing specific types of authoritative clothing or symbols to compel you to accept their every word without the application of healthy, necessary scrutiny. Our cognitive system is hardwired to default to respecting perceived status and power, and the manipulator is acutely aware of this profound psychological shortcut.
They possess the secret knowledge that you will subconsciously judge the legitimacy of their identity and their perceived status rather than diligently examining the actual logical merit of their claims or proposal. They successfully exploit your fundamental human weakness when it comes to both time pressure and deference to perceived hierarchy. They know you prioritize perceived safety over rational assessment. How, then, can we successfully maintain our emotional and mental composure against this relentless, overwhelming bombardment of last-chance opportunities and accurately discern which authority figure is genuinely legitimate and which is merely executing a deceptive stage performance? The essential counter-strategy is to establish and rigorously implement a simple but powerful 20-second pause rule for any and all significant decisions. This brief, mandatory moment of quiet reflection, executed before committing to anything, is often enough to reactivate your logical brain and instantly save you from an impending financial, professional, or emotional disaster. This pause creates the necessary cognitive distance. Now that you understand how your decision-making is compressed and controlled under time pressure, we must learn the devastating psychological mechanism that keeps you trapped in a toxic cycle of hope and pain.
Part 7. Intermittent Reinforcement. The Hook of Despair and False Hope. The most profoundly agonizing form of psychological torture is to be kept perpetually unaware of what will happen next. And this brutal, unpredictable emotional environment is exactly what they meticulously construct for you. Intermittent reinforcement is consistently rated as one of the most psychologically effective and cruel techniques for successfully cultivating intense, debilitating, and thoroughly addictive dependency within toxic relationships. The abuser operates within a relentless, cruel cycle where they are, at unpredictable times, incredibly kind, deeply loving, and highly affirming. This is the positive reinforcement phase, and then, with absolutely no warning or discernible reason, they suddenly become emotionally cold, completely neglectful, or overtly abusive. This is the negative punishing phase. This unpredictable and erratic cycle instantly forces your brain into a state of constant, desperate hypervigilance. You are continuously scanning and searching for the smallest sign of those wonderful, loving moments you remember from the past. You are no longer staying in the relationship because of the quality of the present connection. You are staying solely to rescue or bring back to life that initially perfect, idealized person who briefly existed. Psychologically, this destructive technique functions exactly like a slot machine. You are deeply aware that you lose 99% of the time, yet the elusive, tiny 1% chance of hitting the jackpot, of getting that rush of affection, keeps you desperately chained to the table, feeding the machine. Dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical, is aggressively released during these unexpected moments of reward, and this specific, unpredictable release creates the strongest, most resilient form of emotional addiction. This false, manufactured hope is tragically the strongest chain binding you to the toxic dynamic. You are addicted to the possibility of change. How then can we successfully detect and counteract this destructive, high-stakes game? We must shift our focus to critically examining the core rhythm and consistency of the person's behavior. Do they only become intensely loving and attentive precisely when you threaten to leave or when a major confrontation is looming? Is their good behavior merely a temporary strategic tactic to silence your complaints and buy them time? The key is to demand consistency, not volatility. Any relationship characterized by extreme highs and lows is inherently unhealthy and dangerous. Now that you grasp the insidious power of unpredictable reward,
you must prepare to understand how the manipulator systematically ensures you have absolutely no one left to turn to for support. Part 8. Isolation, severing connections and silencing dissent.
Part 8. Isolation and triangulation techniques. Emptying the battlefield. If any individual in your life makes a concerted, focused effort to actively distance you from your most trusted and cherished support systems, you must immediately recognize that their entire plan is centered not on genuine love or commitment, but on achieving absolute, unilateral control. The technique of isolation is consistently the initial critical phase toward establishing complete psychological and emotional dominance. The manipulator commences their strategy by subtly or overtly criticizing, bad-mouthing, or undermining your family, your closest friends, and your reliable colleagues, thereby slowly and surely eroding your entire support network until it is completely neutralized. Their ultimate goal is to become your only accessible source of information, your only well of emotional validation, and your exclusive reference point for understanding external reality. When you become completely isolated and dependent, your psychological vulnerability is maximized, and there is no one left to tell you, no, their behavior is unusual. Total isolation is the opened, vulnerable gateway for the manipulator's unconstrained and unrestricted operation. Triangulation is a dark, cunning power play where the manipulator intentionally introduces a third party. This could be a past lover, an imaginary potential suitor, or even a completely fictional person into your emotional equation. This maneuver is specifically designed to provoke profound jealousy, crippling insecurity, and an intense, exhausting sense of competition within you. Their primary psychological objective is to force you into a state of perpetual fighting for their attention, rather than collaboratively valuing and nurturing mutual respect within the relationship. This highly destabilizing tactic ensures that you are constantly living in a defensive, high-anxiety state of mind, always competing to be the best for them. They turn affection into a prize you must win. How, then, can we successfully break these deeply entrenched cycles of social and emotional isolation? The key is to make a conscious, unwavering decision to actively strengthen and deepen your existing relationships with the outside world. You must never, ever permit a single individual, no matter how intense their promises of love, to functionally replace your entire support system. Your friends and family are your external checks and balances. Now that you fully understand how they expertly utilize external pressure to divide and conquer you, you must immediately begin the process of arming yourself with potent psychological countermeasures to repel their attacks.
Part 9. Defense Strategies. Shattering the Dark Mirrors. Let this truth be the foundation of your defense. They possess absolutely no ability to control any individual who maintains clear, unwavering boundaries and who instinctively knows with absolute certainty that saying no is not a moral failure, but an act of profound self-respect. To successfully break the powerful, invisible spell cast by dark psychology, you must acquire and deploy potent, proven psychological tools. The first, most effective tool is the technique known as gray rocking. When you are confronted by a persistent, toxic manipulator, your immediate, primary goal must be to transform your demeanor into that of a boring, utterly unresponsive, uninteresting gray rock. offers zero emotional reaction, withhold all personal information, and diffuse every volatile conversation with only short, neutral, and meaningless responses, such as, "Okay, that's certainly odd," or simply, "I understand." The manipulator is constantly hungry for emotional fuel, and when you consistently refuse to supply it, they will eventually deem you unworthy of their continued attention and disengage. The second, non-negotiable tool is the establishment of ironclad boundaries. You must take the time to deeply identify precisely what your personal and emotional red lines are, and you must communicate them clearly, calmly, and unapologetically without offering any excessive shame or verbose justification. Your cultivated inner assertiveness, born from self-knowledge, is unequivocally your best and most powerful weapon. The third critical tool is fact-checking and validation of your own reality. You must commit to maintaining a private, secure record, a written journal, or a dedicated application to meticulously log important conversations, record all promises made, and document any blatant lies you encounter. This practice is the direct countermeasure to gaslighting, providing you with documented, physical evidence of your reality that cannot be disputed or twisted. You are fundamentally shining an immovable light directly into their calculated darkness. By meticulously recording the facts, you strip away the manipulator's ability to rewrite history. The process of recording events empowers you by giving you cognitive clarity and a historical reference point. The ultimate goal is to remain emotionally disengaged while being acutely factually aware. The only true, guaranteed path to victory over calculated darkness is to consciously and determinedly transform yourself into an unyielding, consistent source of light and truth. Now that you have learned the essential mechanisms of self-defense, you must prepare to turn these tools towards the final, most crucial task, the radical reconstruction of your life.
Part 10. Freedom and Building a New Life, Returning to Your True Self. Breaking free, truly breaking free from the pervasive grip of a psychological controller is often the single most painful and difficult act of liberation a person can undergo. Yet it is imperative to recognize that this pain is the necessary, agonizing prelude to your true rebirth. Following your crucial exit from a manipulative or toxic relationship or environment, the very first feelings you will encounter are likely to be a profound sense of emotional emptiness, disorienting confusion, and unexpected vulnerability. You must reclaim your true, authentic identity, the self that was suppressed, distorted, and defined entirely by the expectations and narrative of the other person. This entire section is dedicated to guiding you through your comprehensive mental, emotional, and psychological reconstruction. The single most important step you can take is the absolute unbreakable establishment of the no contact rule. This means 0 phone calls, 0 text messages, 0 email communication, and absolutely no checking of their social media profiles. This drastic separation is analogous to surgically cutting off a massive systemic toxic vein. Any form of continued casual communication will inevitably and efficiently drag you right back into the familiar destructive cycle of abuse. The immediate subsequent step is the practice of profound self-compassion for your past self. You were not inherently weak. You were not fundamentally flawed.
You were merely the meticulously selected target of a sophisticated, targeted psychological tactic. You must choose to forgive yourself for the understandable compromises you made, and then with profound tenderness and kindness, gently begin the process of healing your deep emotional wounds. Your power is inherent and absolute, and you are making an unwavering commitment that you will never knowingly allow yourself to become a victim again. The powerful, life-altering objective here is to transform this devastating experience from a source of shame into your most resilient, life-defining lesson, a lesson so potent that it allows you to instantly detect toxic and manipulative individuals from a safe distance of 10 kilometers away. By mastering the knowledge contained in this book, you successfully transform yourself from a passive target into the fully aware, vigilant observer. True, unshakable peace only arrives at the exact moment you fully and finally reclaim complete, sovereign control over your own mind, which is, without question, your single most valuable and irreplaceable asset. This is not the conclusion of a book, but the powerful, definitive beginning of your entirely new life, free from the shadows.
Conclusion. The ultimate power is in your hands. We have successfully navigated the darkest, most treacherous depths of the human psyche together. You have clearly learned how gaslighting, love bombing, and emotional blackmail are systematically used to construct the very pillars of control. You are no longer merely a potential target, but a fully conscious and aware observer. The profound truth to carry with you is this: your deepest inner peace is the direct, undeniable result of your hard-won awareness. Now that you are armed with these powerful defensive tools, you are empowered to establish your boundaries and reclaim your fundamental inner tranquility. The ultimate, enduring power resides solely within your courageous ability to say no and to place unwavering trust in your own true inner voice. Under Gorshwith. Answers to 20 common people's questions. Here are 20 common questions people ask about dark psychology techniques and how to counteract them. 1. What exactly is dark psychology? Oh, it refers to a collection of psychological and behavioral techniques used unethically to deceive, manipulate, and control others to gain a personal, selfish advantage. 2. Is dark psychology a formal science? No. It's a general term describing manipulative behaviors. It's studied in fields like social psychology and personality disorders, but not as a distinct formal academic discipline. 3. How do I know if I'm a victim of gaslighting? Oh, if you constantly doubt your memory, perception, and sanity, and the other person insists your experiences are wrong or exaggerated, you're likely being gaslit. 4. What is the difference between love bombing and real love? Oh, love bombing is intense, immediate, and high pressure. It's fast-moving and feels overwhelming. Real love is gradual, consistent, and respectful of your space and boundaries. 5. What is the dark triad? Oh, the 3 key personality traits linked to dark psychology: narcissism, grandiosity, Machiavellianism, cynicism and exploitation, and psychopathy, lack of empathy and impulsivity. 6. Can psychopaths feel love? No. They lack the capacity for deep emotional empathy and attachment. Any love they express is usually transactional or an imitation used for control. 7. How should I handle a Machiavellian at work? Oh, maintain a purely professional and transactional relationship. Keep meticulous records of all agreements, and never share personal information or vulnerabilities. 8.
How does emotional blackmail work? O. The individual threatens to create emotional or physical pain, example, leaving, self-harm, or severe guilt tripping, to force you into complying with their demands. 9. How can I set boundaries against a manipulator? O. State your boundaries clearly, calmly, and concisely without over-explaining or apologizing, and follow through immediately with the stated consequences if they are crossed. 10. What is the gray rock technique, and how does it help? O. It is a defense where you make yourself emotionally and conversationally boring, unreactive, and uninteresting to the manipulator, thereby cutting off the emotional fuel they need to operate. 11. What are the key relationship red flags early on? O. Excessive speed, moving too fast, immediate criticism of your close relationships, isolation, or consistent unwillingness to take responsibility for their mistakes. 12. Is intermittent reinforcement addictive? O. Yes, it's highly addictive. The unpredictable reward cycle trains the brain to desperately seek the return of the positive moments, overriding logic and creating dependency. 13. How do I stop feeling constant guilt? O. You must learn to distinguish between genuine guilt for your own actual errors and manufactured guilt, emotions placed upon you by the manipulator. You are not responsible for their happiness. 14. What is the most important step after leaving a manipulator? O. Establishing and maintaining the no contact rule, zero communication or contact, is the most critical step to allow for true emotional and psychological healing. 15. How can I rebuild trust in my inner voice? O. By actively validating your experiences through journaling and seeking support from neutral, objective sources like a therapist or trusted, distant friend. 16. Why do manipulators use isolation? O. To eliminate all external perspectives that might validate the victim's reality, ensuring the manipulator becomes the sole source of truth and validation. 17. How do I resist the pressure of scarcity? Example, limited time offers. O. Immediately implement a mandatory timeout, the pause rule, before making any major decision, allowing your logical brain to catch up to the emotional pressure. 18. Are these dark psychology techniques always conscious? O. While some manipulators, like psychopaths, are highly conscious of their actions, others, often narcissists, may be unconsciously driven by deep-seated insecurities and simply react to manipulate without a detailed conscious plan. 19. What are the characteristics of a pathological liar? O. They lie frequently, often without clear external motivation, and the lies are often inconsistent. They show little to no discomfort or guilt when caught, prioritizing the act of control over the truth. 20. What is the ultimate purpose of understanding dark psychology? Not to use the techniques, but to develop profound psychological awareness and emotional armor to protect yourself, your boundaries, and your inner peace from all forms of exploitation.